Geelong and Hawthorn are the two most successful AFL clubs of the last 20 years, both winning an amazing 4 premierships each. Sure, one club gets a lot of help off the field, and the other one gets a lot of help on the field.
Adelaide win it. Walker gives away free.
But in this results-driven business, they've got better results than any other club. So it's no wonder they hate each other. A lot of people think that this hatred started around the era of the 2008 Grand Final, where Hawthorn's game plan was so questionable, the league literally changed the rules so no team could replicate them ever again. And then the ensuing Kennett curse, where the Hawthorn president said something stupid, which fired up the Cats, who then went on to defeat the Hawks a record 11 times in a row. But it goes back further. People my age would think it started around the 1989 Grand Final, which is still regarded as one of the most brutal and greatest Grand Finals of all time. But it goes back further. This rivalry has been bubbling away for almost 60 years, and from the very beginning it's been brutal both on and off the field. This is the Seeds of Hatred. In 1962, Hawthorn were, for the very first time, the reigning premiers. And as so often happens when you're the reigning premiers for the first time, you get your first premiership hangover. They only won 4 matches in their first 13 games. In round 14, they played Geelong, and it wasn't going well. They were down by 38 points at three-quarter time. In the final quarter, Hawthorn got a little bit violent, with both the Cats' captain and vice-captain having match-ending ankle injuries. After the game, in an unprecedented outburst, Geelong coach Bob Davis slammed the Hawks, saying, quote, "They were the dirtiest team he had ever seen." Now, the culture at the time was very much what happens on the field stays on the field. So for a coach to publicly slam another team's physicality was absolutely unheard of. The next day on Channel 7's World of Sport, the spat continued, with Davis and Hawks captain Graham Arthur absolutely going each other. The incident was splayed all over the Sun newspaper for the next 2 days. So when Hawthorn finally did officially react, it was in a way that no one was expecting. They sued the Geelong Football Club and the Sun newspaper for slander or libel, whatever the written one is. I went to a state school. But they sued them for £20,000. Now, if you adjust that for inflation in today's money, that's roughly $1 bajillion. What was even more surprising is both the Cats and the Sun immediately apologised and withdrew their comments. So how did Hawthorn manage to bend not only their opponents, but one of the biggest newspapers in the country to their will? Nobody knows for sure, but a very likely theory involves Hawthorn ruckman John Winicky, who at the time was an ace law student at Melbourne University. In fact, Winicky went on in his post-football career to be the highest-ranking judge in the Victorian Supreme Court. So it's fair to theorise he knew all the political avenues to use in order to intimidate Geelong and the Sun. It's also fair to suggest he had a little bit of help from his father, Sir Henry Winicky, who at the time was Governor of Victoria. Yeah, that's right. This rivalry conspiracy theory, it's like the JFK assassination. It goes all the way to the top. After such a fiery battle on and off the field, the footy gods knew we wanted a sequel and we wanted it straight away, so they delivered. The very next year, the Cats and the Hawks met 4 times, each one an absolute classic. Started with a draw, then they met in the final round where the Cats had to win in order to make finals. They did, which meant the next week they met the Hawks in the semi, and then 2 weeks later in the grand final, with Geelong winning every game. Then just when it couldn't get any weirder, there's a rumour about a secret ceremony that goes on at Cardinia Park every time the Cats win a grand final, where they bury an effigy of their vanquished foe into the soil of Cardinia Park. If they beat Collingwood, they bury a dead magpie that they've found on the side of the road. If they beat Richmond, they bury a toy tiger. Who knows what they did for Port Adelaide? Maybe a power socket. I've literally no idea. I'm not invited to this secret ceremony. But in 1963, they killed a hawk in order to bury it under the ground. Now, Geelong deny that this happens, but of course, that's the nature of top secret ceremonies. Hawthorn were furious that they had killed a hawk and swore revenge. And since that day, they have never lost a grand final to Geelong. Of course, this rivalry has many more chapters, but that's how it started. What's your favourite rivalry? Let me know and I'll do a story about it. I'm going to be doing the showdown for Adelaide people coming up. I'm going to try and do the Bulldogs and the Giants, although it's a bit one-sided because I'm a Dogs fan. But let me know your favourite and any incidents that you'd like me to investigate. I love this stuff. Even non-AFL stuff. I'm going to do Real Madrid v Barcelona very soon because that is a fascinating one. Let me know if you've enjoyed this. Please, like, subscribe. I've got merch, you've got memberships, all of that stuff. But mostly, thanks for watching. And I hope Hawthorn lose.